Hi, I'm Carol Allen with Love is in the Stars, and today I would like to talk about something kind of old-fashioned that I promise will either relieve you or annoy you, but either way, just hear me out because it's just what I've seen work. So I like to share what works in relationships and specifically what works between men and women. And it's not necessarily what we wish worked or what we're inclined to do. And a lot of it is quite honestly counterintuitive. Or you might dismiss it as old fashioned or outdated or what your grandmother had to do, but things are so different now, right? And that's especially true of this topic. So, this topic is, should you be completely yourself early on with men and call them when you want to call, text when you want to text, ask them out if you want to ask them out? Or should you be like grandma and let them lead? And I am in the let them lead camp, but not for reasons that you've likely heard before. The reasons I like women who are interested in relationships with men to let men lead is because then you get to discover how available is that guy and how enthusiastic is that guy and how much is your budding relationship or your situationship, as they say, his idea. And how much is it just like convenient, easy, happening anyway, so we might as well go with it? Or how much is he just passively going along because there's nothing better to do, right? And I've been talking with women for, gosh, literally most of my life. I'm the girl in 12th grade or at 12, not 12th grade, who everyone was telling their personal stories to. And later, when I started having jobs, there I was at Nordstrom selling men's sportswear, showing men, ties or scarves or shirts or sweaters. And I'd basically be like, so what do you think? And they'd say, I'm sleeping with my secretary because my wife just doesn't love me anymore. And I'd be like, oh, so the Paisley? It was nuts. I've just always had effect on people, and I really am grateful for it. I really love people. I love connecting with people. And what I have found now in 30 plus years of talking to people, mostly women interested in men, about love, is that everybody's so confused. And we're so confused because things have changed so much, and so many of the quote unquote rules have kind of gone away. And we're in this time where it's easier to meet each other and it's easier to contact each other. And there's more ways to contact each other, certainly, than ever before in history. And it's very immediate. And so because of that ease and that accessibility and that immediacy, people often think, well, what's the big deal, right? I'll just say hi, or what are you doing later? Or I'm going to be in your neighborhood. How about we get a coffee? Or, they just think, what's the big deal? It's not a big deal. And oh, by the way, I just saw him last week and he called me. So he's clearly interested. He's showing interest. I'm just going to reciprocate, right? Well, what I have found overwhelmingly is that when a woman extends herself and asks a man out first, or calls a man first, or texts a man first, even if it's somebody she's seeing, if it's not a full relationship yet, if it's still in the what are we doing stage, right? If it's in the pre-commitment phase of things and you're not sure if you're going to be together, and you're not sure how ready he is or how available he is or how interested he is, What happens if you do any of the initiating is then you rob yourself of the opportunity to see how much time was he going to let go by between your last interaction? How much time was he going to take to call you again? How many days were going to lapse between dates, or how many weeks, right? And also, when the woman initiates, she becomes more vulnerable. She becomes a little more, exposed. She's showing interest, which is lovely. But if it's pre-commitment, what research has overwhelmingly found is that women are always ready to be a full couple in about half the time men are. Now, there's every story in the big city, and there are no perfect formulas. So I'm speaking in sweeping generalizations here. So forgive me, because what I also hear from a lot of women, especially in midlife, is a lot of men are like, hi, oh my gosh, great to meet you. Can we get married now? Right? Especially divorced guys or guys that have been in long relationships and they are relationship guys. A lot of them just want to move really fast, and women are like, whoa, 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 right? It's a little freaky for either party when anyone is moving really, really fast. So if you're feeling that anxiety that happens in early stages of getting to know someone, and you think reaching out to him will make you feel less of that, right? Like seeing him will be so comforting, and contacting him will be so anti-anxiety, right? It'll just make all that like dial down. Well, what it actually does, though, is it exposes you, and it makes you more vulnerable, and it makes you in the position of risking rejection, honestly. And what you might be doing is making him feel more pressure, even if he's clearly shown interest, even if he's asked you out a bunch of times, even if he's texting you every day, even if normally he initiates. So I'm sorry if this sounds like game playing, or if this sounds like a power play. The thing of it is that not only are men typically slower, again, we're talking about clusters on the bar graph, right? There's always those outliers, but like as a group, they are slower than we are. They also tend to very much focus on one thing at a time. A lot of us talk about this, that women are more fluid. The hemispheres of our brain are always working at the same time, right and left. We're very much like, ooh, I'm thinking and I'm feeling, I'm thinking and I'm feeling. And we have a lot more white matter in our brains, which allow us to think and feel, but also to multitask, to do more than one thing at a time. Men have more gray matter, which is more analytical, more rational, less about connecting the brain to other parts of the brain. White matter is very about connective tissue and connecting gray matter to the rest of the brain. But gray matter is where all the detail and the information and the like rational thought happens. So it's much easier for women to be more fluid throughout the day, to take interruptions, to do 17 things at once. And men tend to be more focused on what they're focused on. And so if you text a guy and he's focused on something and he's not thinking of you in that moment, you could annoy him, actually. Even if he really likes you, it can feel intrusive. Same with if you call him, same with if you ask him to do something. So the other thing is, hormonally, when men spend time with us, their testosterone goes down and they can get super cozy with us. And that's part of why they turn into puppy dogs, right? We're good for them that way. And they need to like get it back up to want to see us again and to feel like manly men again, right? And so they need to do that away from us. So there's a few reasons here that are physiological and biological where you want to give men that space and you want to kind of do things on their rhythm, because then they're going to be more into it. And then you're less likely to feel badly if he doesn't respond well. Now, I will tell you, I've been married a million years, and even I try to not initiate, because when I call my husband, oh my gosh, it's so funny, you guys. He'll literally be like, what? He's just like, and my husband is the sweetest, like most loving, most sensitive, great at the mushy stuff. I mean, I've been married a million years. Why would I stay with somebody a million years if they weren't all those things, right? But if it isn't his idea and he's busy, oh my goodness, he is so curt. He is so like not thinking of me. He is so about what he's about, right? And boy, does it show. And so even 30 years later, I've known the man 31 years, been married 25. Even then, it doesn't go great initiating. So don't totally expose yourselves, ladies, and lean back and let the man reveal to you how available he is, how interested he is, how much he's gonna move the ball down the field, so to speak. And let it be his idea, because then when he does reach out, he's really there, right? He's really into it. He's really present. He wants to be reaching out, and he doesn't feel any pressure. And see how that goes. And if it's enough for you, great. Then you guys might be a match. If it's not enough for you, one of the greatest things I've ever learned, I learned from Dr. Pat Allen, no relation to me, longtime therapist, brilliant best-selling author, amazing relationship expert. And she says something so important, engrave it on your forehead. Ready? She says, a man will only give you what he's naturally inclined to give. So it's the woman's job to choose the man who naturally gives enough. That is one of the most important things you will ever learn. Seriously. A man is only going to give you what he's naturally inclined to give. And that means you can ask for more, you can negotiate for more, you can cry, you can beg, you can plead, but he's always going to revert back to what he was naturally already doing. So you want to look to, how much does this guy give? Verbally, with his time, with his resources, with his support, with his, everything. Sexually, financially, like how much does this guy give? Because that's what you're gonna get. And in the early stages, if you're doing a lot of the work of the initiating, making things happen, blah, 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 he might seem like he's giving more than he is, because really you're kind of carrying the day too much, right? And it might take you a while, once you're in a relationship, to really recognize, oh, gee, this guy doesn't want as much closeness as I do. This guy isn't as into it as I am, right? Now, there's a couple of exceptions to this that I should say, because again, we're speaking about generalities, but there's outliers. If you are a cooler woman who's sort of more slow to open up, who people have told you they don't always think you're into them, or you're hard to read, or, if you have a hard time being like warm and flirty or super friendly early on with men, then you might want to initiate a little bit in the beginning, because those men might go home from a date with you and be like, she doesn't like me. I'm not getting anywhere here, right? And you might be a little confusing for men. So that's one caveat to this. Another little exception sometimes that I hear about is if you're an enormously attractive woman. If you're really beautiful, men might be, and if you're really impressive, like you went to great schools, you make great money, you have a great business, you have a big house, all that stuff. If you're one of those women, men can sometimes feel like they're not enough, or like, why would you like them? Really, even if they're really together, even if they're really attractive, even if they're really successful too. So if you're one of those women, you sometimes will need to show a lot of interest early on because, again, after dates with you, men are going home going, there's no way this woman's going to keep wanting to be with me. Why would that be? You know, even great guys, not everybody is all like, woohoo, I'm all that, right? I'm all that in a bag of chips, as the kids say. So, but other than that, all you want to do is lean back, let the man do all the initiating, and just really happily receive it all. Happily say yes to his suggestions, happily appreciate his efforts, express gratitude for the things you do and the places you go. That's what's going to make him feel great. That's what's going to make him want to do it more, right? So that is my little tip for you today. I hope it's helpful. And if you love more of this, I have a really fun free newsletter full of tons and tons and tons of tips like this and stories of clients. And I'm also an astrologer, so I also talk about what's going on astrologically, what's going on with celebrities, because love is really in the stars. And that's where you can find it all at loveisinthestars.com. So please sign up for that over there and comment below or subscribe. I'd be so grateful. And I'll see you again next time. Thanks so much.